Welcome back to the Boys Fantasy Football podcast that only talks about our league. Big episode, championship week. We made it. This is the final week of fantasy football. Long season. It's over. We're going to talk vibe check, gossip, Zach starts of the week, and then we'll finish off with the championship preview. I got both guys that I brought on. And we're going to have a good talk. I haven't done it yet, so no idea how that conversation goes or went, but I imagine it's going to be good. Let's hop into it. Vibe check. The championships are set. We have Zach versus Austin. The 1 seed versus the 6 seed. The guy that a lot of people thought were going to be here, and then a guy that absolutely no one gave a chance to. Table crew can talk their shit and say, yeah. They're going for him. I don't doubt that. But not a single person in this league, not even Austin, thought you could make the argument Mister. Mister had a little bit of hope for Austin. And look at him now. You know, the guy, I have a lot to say about how he's done to get to this point. But if I didn't have money on Zach, I would be rooting for Austin right there. I imagine a lot of the rest of the league would be rooting for Austin, being that, like, absolutely no one gave him a chance. This guy's the underdog. Zach, all-time heater of a year. We've talked about it before, winning a state championship, having a baby. I mean, just the guy's on an all-time heater, and sometimes it's tough to go against those guys. And it continues this week. He got it done, and he finds himself right here in the fantasy championship, where I feel he's belonged. There was multiple times throughout the year where, he's sitting outside the playoffs, but he still had a baller-ass team. It's like, and he had the number one scoring team. You're like, okay, this guy just needs to figure out a way to get in, and it's going to be a problem. And sure as shit, it happened exactly that way. Both teams are on a fucking tear right now. Like, I can't wait for this week. It's going to be electric. We'll talk all about that later. All in all, though, amazing year. It's been all year. We've talked through each single week, going from 12 teams at the beginning, where for 14 straight weeks, maybe not all of them, but for 14 straight weeks, we talked about all 12 teams. And, when it comes to preparing for these things, it's actually a lot easier when you get to just dive into one matchup and one matchup only. Now, with that comes the interest from everyone in the league. So here's what I'm going to talk about here. I've noticed that, and this happens, not everyone's going to care about all the matchups like me, okay? But there may be some people out there that have deleted the app and that have no idea who's still playing, how their players are playing. Not really going to call you out, because it's kind of a psychopath move to care if your team's not in it. We all got other leagues. We all got shit to get to. So it's like, all right, fantasy season's over. Let's get back to real life. Like, I wish I could have done that fucking 6 weeks ago. But here we are. I'm the commissioner of the best league in the world. So, we've got some work to do. We've got to zone in, watch these games as if they matter. That's why the thing like the hitch your wagon to the guys in the playoffs exists, is because I want everyone to care about it as much as I possibly can. And if I can do anything to bring that to light and show light on Zach and Austin for getting here, that's what the point of this thing's for. Basically to wrap that thought up, it's pretty cool, like, seeing how quickly it completely dies off. It goes from 12 teams to about 8 to 9 teams in about week 10, when you start to realize which teams aren't going to make playoffs. Then you go to week 13 for us, which decided which teams were making in the playoffs. So right away, league's cut in half. Then it goes to 4. Now we're down to 2. And it just feels like it's happened really quickly. And definitely need to give a big shout out to Zach and Austin making it through all the shit. I've talked plenty of shit about Austin's team. I've talked a little bit of shit about Zach's team. We've talked shit about all the teams in here. We've talked goods about all the teams. Austin was on Feeling Myself. He was the first ever Feeling Myself edition. Maybe he wasn't the first, but he definitely had one. Zach was on Feeling Myself, I believe, twice. And you kind of ride those ebbs and flows all year long to get to this point. And shout out to those guys. Me or Mr. will be getting $300 because those are the teams that we picked a couple weeks ago when we decided to hitch ourselves to a team. So either me or Mr. will be getting $300. That's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to that if I can get there. It's going to take a lot of teamwork from me and Zach to really bring in the win. I don't think he did consult me slightly about the Gabe Davis, Jacoby Myers situation. I believe I led him towards Gabe Davis. I could check the text. I don't know for sure, but he was pretty set on playing Jacoby going into it. I don't want to talk him out of it. He's not going to take any advice from me in the first place, but I know he's currently mulling over through some similar situation this week with his, what does he do? And he even has a third name to throw in the mix. Maybe we'll talk about that when I get him on for an interview. So that's pretty cool. Me or Mr. getting $300. Mr. chose Austin over Tyler, which was a little bit surprising. And I'll stop saying, I promise. And that's it. Zach is potentially playing for $1,460 with a fantasy championship win. That would be his total earnings this year. Of course, I've got to go through everything and make sure I've got all the math right. But what I added up is his totals will be $1,460. And then Austin is playing for, just so you guys don't think I'm mushing him, Austin will be playing for $1,110. That is, of course, the one top score week and the fantasy championship amount there. Either way, these guys are leaving this season in a net positive, whether they win or not. The runner-up gets $200, and they both got top scores, so they're both going to be making over what their buy-in this year. That's always nice to have. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. It's nice to come home with money, but only thing that matters is winning the fantasy championship. And the $200 that either of these teams wins, I guarantee you somebody would trade it in, not just for the money, but just for that championship alone. If I know those guys, I think they would agree with it. So let's get into it. We're going to break down last week's matchups between Zach Tyler and Austin and Jared. All right, boys. Gossip. So first, we're going to talk about the Zach versus Tyler breakdown. Great. That game wasn't very good, to be honest with you, boys. The game flow of this matchup really died out after Tyler had three guys play like shit on Saturday. They all put up poor performances. Nobody threw up any duds or anything, but 10 points is just not enough in the fantasy playoffs. And he got it from Mixon, Warren, and AJ. So that he didn't play on Saturday, so I don't know why I grouped them in. But Mixon and Warren basically both threw up 10 points each, and then he had a 0 from the Bengals defense. So sitting there with 21 points on Saturday night, it was tough not to look at that matchup, not only because I'm rooting for Zach, but tough not to look at that matchup and think this game could be over already. Obviously, you still had your studs, Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, so it could have happened, but it didn't. And so my game notes on it, Zach turned in a rather beatable performance, actually. When I seen 125 scored out of Zach, I actually looked back at all the weeks and I was like, seems pretty low for Zach. That's a good sign, right? But he actually had a couple weeks where he was scoring in the upper 100 and teens. So I really couldn't make a stat out of that. But even with guys like Jacoby Myers, Kenny Walker, they kind of had poor performances. Both scored under 10. He benched Gabe Davis. Like, he did the things that this league, anybody else playing Zach, needs to have happen in order to beat Zach. And, he still scored 125 points. CMC, Josh Allen, Tyreek, those guys are studs. They're the reason why he's here. And they did it again on relatively modest days. Like, all three of those guys who are the number one at their position. Again, he has three guys with the number one at their position. There's no surprise the reason why this guy is here. And they combined for 68.98 points. Again, it's not a crazy number. The rest of his team, if they played really well, he would have been well over 125. And I'm just saying, like, that's their floor. CMC, Josh Allen, Tyreek. You gotta know that all three of those guys know it's fantasy championship, and they know that it's time to fucking really ball. I believe in that. We'll see. Side note: this has been reported by ESPN and a lot of other people. 58.9% of teams that drafted Christian McCaffrey in the fantasy football drafts made the fantasy championship. We're a part of that 58.9%. Congratulations to Zach drafting CMC. It was always CMC, honestly. Like, looking back, going through, I know I'm going to spend the most amount of money on a receiver, on a running back. I just got to make sure I get the best one. I chose Saquon Barkley on a terrible offense. Just like, what are you thinking? Over Christian McCaffrey, a guy with the best offense who hasn't been injured in 2 years? What are you thinking, bud? But, hey, that's a long time ago, and congratulations to Zach for getting him. Tyler, he really got low performances from everyone, as I mentioned earlier. Brock Purdy is essentially the one in the main reason to blame. If you get a good quarterback in there, not that he's not a good quarterback, I'm saying if you get a good scoring quarterback in there for this week alone and you have 20 points, you make a better defensive start, there's a chance you can keep things close against Zach. And at that point, anything can happen. But Brock Purdy, when you really needed a Hail Mary, the good news for him is that it didn't come early, so Tyler still feel like he had a shot all the way until the very end. But he needed a Brock Purdy fucking domination, and he got demolished versus the Ravens. He scores 2.4 points, 5 picks. At that point, with that in your lineup, just blank slate looking at the roster, there's zero chance that team had a shot to win with 2.4 out of your quarterback position. Who knows? Like I said, who knows what would have happened if he had a good quarterback in there. Tua only scored like 18, 15 points, something like that. And I don't know if you only lost this game by 30 points. So if you start to look at it and you say, all right, if I get 25 from a quarterback, I just need 10 more from somebody else, a defense, there's a chance. But hey, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. Fucking finally got it. Yes. If my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. Bars. So, yeah, that's really all I have for it. I mean, we're going to talk a lot more about Zach's team. But like I said earlier, Zach would never say this, but the confidence just had to be all-time through the roof. When you're looking at your lineup with a 50-point lead going into Monday night, and you got Christian McCaffrey still to play, and you have to wait it out and see what Brock does. And he had another Niner on his team, but there's no way that I know I was feeling confident. I watched that Monday night game, not only because it was an awesome fucking game, but that I was looking for Lamar to get points, for Austin to get the dub. I didn't really even consider this game even being like, I don't even think I looked at it one time because I just wrapped it up. Especially when I see McCaffrey score, it was over. It was long over by then. But I really didn't realize that he only won by 30 points. It felt like much more the whole time. And Tyler, fuck you for all the shit talk that you gave me this year. I didn't do anything wrong. I talked good about your team a lot, and I love you. At the end of the day, your team threw a dud. Even the small start-sit blunders, it honestly probably wouldn't have gotten you the win. You went all in on the receivers this year, trading for Cooper Kupp. But the stud running backs that you refused to trade all year long, and you stuck with them because of the name value of Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones and the other guy, fucking Jalen Warren. He's not a name value, but you refused to trade him all year long. They let you down. Hell of a job this year. You can make an enemy out of me, but a middle-of-the-pack guy is what you'll always be. Wow. That was a bar. Did you fucking hear that? Rewind that shit. Oh, man. It's a good thing you don't fucking talk to us that often. All right. Austin versus Jared. This one was an absolute shootout. Best fantasy game, I honestly think, of the year. I was driving back, and we stopped to get lunch. And, I mean, it was just like back and forth. You guys teetered within 10 points and just climbed each other up from like 60 to 70 to 70, 70, 80, 80, 90. And it was just back and forth all the whole game, all the way until the very end. There was a little bit of a gap that Austin had went up by, where it was like, oh fuck. And then we needed Patrick Mahomes to go and play like Patty. He didn't. He played like shit. Maybe this is Patrick now, but he sure as shit, it looks like shit this year. I don't know how the fuck he's the number 7 or 6 fantasy quarterback. It doesn't, like, where does he fucking score his points at? You watch the games, I don't know. Like, even if you look at his total numbers, like in the column, it'd be like, that guy's not the number 6 quarterback. Like, they're a bunch of teens. Everything's teen, 20, teen, 120, teen. Out on him from the fantasy perspective. I know that'll get me hate. That's great. So anyways, back to this game. Absolute shootout. Austin came out the gate firing, getting 23 from Olave on Thursday night. Now, of course, Jared had it matched with Puka at 33. But we all said, we went to the bar, I think that night, the night after, and said, Puka definitely hurt you, but Olave, I think he did enough to keep you in this game and gives you that same chance that you thought you had. Now, if Olave goes out there, scores like 5-6 points, obviously this game's so much different. Even the flow, even the confidence, like Olave getting off to that start, 23 points, it was like, okay, Austin, we're here. That was the feeling that I know he got from that. Then on Saturday, he gets 35.5 from George Pickens. 4 catches, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. That right there is your MVP of this week, possibly your entire season. He right there scored, got you to the fantasy championship. The rest of your guys, and we'll talk about them, but the rest of your guys surely as shit balled out and did their thing. But George Pickens is not a 35.5 scoring player. It's just, and especially like it's on 4 catches for 195 yards. Like, that's an insane Randy Moss type of game where you're not going to see that again. But who cares? You got it. You got it in the fantasy playoffs, and that's fucking electric. That's why we play this game, is for shit like that to happen. It's insane to me that I can show everyone the text. I'm not, because it's difficult to edit, but Austin almost played Antonio Gibson over George Pickens. There was a text that said Pickens or Gibson. I think both guys are 7 points either way. So am I chasing the action on a Saturday, just looking to chase action, or is this the smart play? I think a couple of people said go Pickens, and yeah, I mean, or I don't even know if anybody responded. He eventually made the decision himself. He almost landed himself on the all-time Zach starts of the week, but he didn't, and he's in the fantasy championship. But after that George Pickens 35-point game, now let's look at the matchup. Austin is up by like 15, 20 points at that point. And at this point in the matchup, Jared was officially on notice. If you're Jared, now all of a sudden you're scared. Now you're like, okay, he's not fucking around. He's had two guys play. They both balled the fuck out. He's still got a lot of his studs. These are the guys, if you're playing against Austin, those are the guys that normally perform pretty poorly. And they did that. Austin not fucking around. So Jared was definitely put on notice at that point. Austin got 2 more touchdowns from Gibbs. Gibbs had 24 points. That was the electric matchup, Gibbs versus Montgomery. Gibbs won that. And if you were watching the first quarter of that game, Gibbs fumbles. Montgomery was running the ball really well. I was like, okay, what are they going to do here? This could be big. He fumbles. Are they going to just go away from him? No, they did the exact opposite. They went straight to Gibbs after that again. He scores twice. Got a great game from Derrick Henry. Austin did all of this with Addison and his kicker leaving the game with an injury. That's fucking impressive. Getting absolutely nothing. Well, he got like 1 point from Addison. Austin literally pulled, I don't know what the fuck this guy did. Like, did he sacrifice a lamb? Or like, what did he do? This is not the same team that entered the playoffs on like a fucking 4-game losing streak. He did get a win towards the end of the season there as a get-right game. And boy, did he get it right. Because, I mean, he's getting it from everywhere else. And then, at the end of the night, he just needed 5 points from Lamar. That's as little as sweat as you can. He tried to be a little worried and sweat it out. The game flow was like, Lamar's playing good, but he's not really scoring any fantasy points. I think he had like 3 points up until like mid-second quarter. And, fuck, I don't have any Zen. It's over there. Yeah, it just an impressive, absolutely incredible performance that we've seen out of AC from there. If Austin can go on and win this fantasy championship, I mean, you've got to put this up there with the best runs in history of this league, where it's just like the dude just fucking went unconscious in the playoffs. And for a guy that's literally never done it in the playoffs, he always comes in top team and then gets bounced right away. And this year might be different for the kid. Hell of a job. Jared honestly didn't play bad. He had a week. He kind of did all the right things. His start-sits were pretty clear because Keenan Allen got hurt early in the week. He still had like a shitty fucking... I refuse to learn that guy's name, the Chargers quarterback. I refuse. I just don't have any room for it in my brain. I won't do it. Easton Stick. I did it. Which turns out it might not have been a bad play if Keenan Allen was playing, because Chargers ended up playing pretty well. But if you had to blame anybody, it was JT and Montgomery. His running backs only combined for 25 points. He got outscored by Austin's running backs by 20 points. Every other matchup down the line was fairly even. Quarterback, fair. Wide receivers, your receivers balled. You had Amon-Ra. You had the other guy, Puka, and even Rashee Rice had 12 points. Like, it wasn't anybody else's fault other than the running backs, in my opinion. Sam Laporta didn't do you no favors. And that was the thing when we talked about last week when Austin came on. It's like, dude, Sam Laporta can't do that again. Like, I get it, he's good, but he's a rookie. It's like, teams are going to adjust to shit like that. And it's like he burned his 2 touchdown game up. And sure as shit, I think that was a good call by all of us to sniff that out. Ultimately, though, to sum it all up for Jared, glad to see you not win 3 championships in 7 years. Honestly, like, you proved it that when you take this shit seriously, you're good at it, and you built a fucking wagon of a team. There were several times this year where we all looked at your team, your roster, and we're like, that's a winning team. 1,000%, that's a winning team. He just he finds his way through trades. He picked up Patrick for like basically nothing. He kept doing all these little moves, and it's like, dude, Jared's going to fucking win again. It really would have been a bad look on all of us for you to win your third, for you to be the first to win 2 in a row, now win the 3 in a row. You're going to have to wait that for another time. I know you had a speech probably typed up in your phone, whatever, because you were already celebrating your 3rd championship. How do I know? Because you called me and you fucking told me, dude. You fucking can't tell me that. I have a podcast. I talk about this. You can't tell me that, like, dude, if I win 3, that'll be 3-7. I'm fucking like, okay. Yeah, man, that'd be nuts. Damn, that's crazy. He's on like 4 glasses of wine at this point. And I'm like, boy, you better win. And then I think I ended that conversation. I was like, you still got to win this one. He's like, yeah, but Austin can't do that again. Austin did it again. He fucking dominated. And don't let the door hit you on the ass. Hell of a team, hell of an effort. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. I don't have a rhyme to spit at the end of this one, but I just want to say we all, as a collective unit, love having you in this league, but god damn it. If you won 3, there might have been a situation where it had been like, all right, Jet didn't do anything wrong either. And look where his ass is at. I'm just kidding. We wouldn't have kicked you out. But, I don't know. You're in it next year, though. Thanks, buddy. All right. That's it for this segment. Zach starts of the week. Last time we'll do this one, right? But there's not really anything that prevented a win from happening here in any of these Zach starts of the week. But it's a clever segment. Now remember, we created the segment because I forget. It was definitely a Zach start, which is why we named the segment Zach start. It was I want to say it was Gabe Davis was involved, and he just didn't start him. And that's where we was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why did you do that? And that's why we were like, I'm going to do this all year long. Might as well call it the Zach starts of the week. And it's fitting that we're going to finish off the season. The guy's in the championship, and he's still making Zach starts of the week. He sat Gabe Davis, who was due, scores 25 points. Jacoby Myers scores 7. You knew it would happen. You did it anyways. Gabe Davis is a miserable player to have in general. I don't know if he's ever worth it to have it, just because of the volatility that what you get from him. There's absolutely zero consistency with that guy. But hey, you're in the fantasy championship, and it worked out. You never had to lean on him for anything. He's a good guy to have in your situation. But imagine a guy like guys like grinding, trying to get in the playoffs and shit like that. Like Gabe Davis, just a miserable guy. No Zach starts of the week for Jared. Jared made all the right starts. It just didn't work out for him. Brock Purdy over Tua. The amount of fantasy football matchups that were lost this week because of Brock Purdy have to be incredibly high. I understand that. Would that move have made sense to go Tua over Brock Purdy? Probably not. No one's really going to make that call. But got to call a spade here. And when you're looking at the matchups, at the end of the day, you're like, what went wrong here? If I make this play over that, blah, 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 blah. Tua and Brock, very even in a lot of senses. And if you made that move, things would be different. Bengals defense over Ravens defense. Again, tough call to make. But this is the playoffs. And zeros will kill you every single time. Seeing... What did I write there? Mason Crosby? What's the quarterback name for the Steelers? It's not Mason Crosby. Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph was definitely the reason you went with the Bengals defense. But he torched him. And you were wrong as fuck. So one last fuck you to Tyler on that one. All right, matchup previews. I bring on both fantasy football championship game attendees. What a fucked up way to say that. I bring on Zach and Austin. I bring on the guys that are in the fantasy championship. We're going to talk about it all. Their current lineups, what is going on with their lineups and their each player's matchups. Maybe we'll highlight a few of those, and then we'll just talk about each other's teams a little bit at the end. And that's it. And then we're going to have the week of games play, and we're going to crown a champion. It's definitely going to be a first-time champion. Zach and Austin, first-time champion. Now, one thing I'm going to close with this. Probably should have started this and put this in the gossip segment, but I forgot. It has been whispered that Olave Gate isn't talked about enough. The fact is that Austin was part of a cheating scandal earlier this year. It was my first episode. We talked about Olave Gate and what happened and the ramifications from that and how things moving forward would go because of what happened in Olave Gate. To me, it would have been a bigger storyline if Olave was like a top five receiver this year. Now he hasn't been, but he has been good the last 2 weeks. So, if Olave Gate needs to be discussed more, and the reason I even brought this up in the first place is because I was going to say, for sure we have a first-time fantasy champion. And I said that last week when I was talking to Tyler, and he said, my name is on the trophy. And got real fucking pissed off that I said we're going to have a first-time champion if it's not Jared. And he got mad about that. But now we officially do have a first-time championship with Zach and AC. But is there some sort of petition floating around to get Austin maybe an asterisk on the trophy? He was part of a cheating scandal. They took Tom Brady. They're giving Tom Brady a little bit of an asterisk for Deflategate and for all this shit. The Tom Brady haters are. Not everybody. But if you are an Austin hater out there and you choose that you want to make Olave Gate a thing, please let me know. We can discuss. By the way, this will not be the last episode. We are going to talk to the champion next week, and it'll probably be my lowest views of all time. No one's going to give a fuck about listening to a conversation with the winner. But I'm going to do it anyways because they deserve to get their flowers. Then that one will be the last episode. And you won't see me until next year. Love you all. Great year. And let's have a hell of a championship week. Let's get it done. All right, welcome on. We've got the fantasy champion game members, Zach and Austin, 1 seed versus 6 seed. What are we laughing at? I fucked it up, but it's okay.
You thought really hard about what you were going to with, and that's what you came up with.
I know, fantasy game members. Oops. I mean, well, I was starting to say I got the fantasy champion, and then I cut it midway. We will. One of these guys will be the fantasy champion. We've got Zach 1 seed versus Austin 6 seed. Austin, starting off with you. Who the fuck thought we'd be here, huh?
Who would have thought? Yeah. What a run.
Yeah, what a run. Seriously, we're going to talk about that because we're going to see if it's possible like that you could duplicate the magic again. But we didn't think that you could duplicate the magic in week 15, and you did.
Yeah.
It's incredible run. I do talk about it. I recorded the pod already. And I was like, if you are able to go on and win, this is an all-time run by you. Yeah. And don't worry, that's not mushing because I say a lot of things about Zach as well that are like, I'm mushing both of you. So somebody's got to win.
I appreciate it.
Zach, you took care of business in your game. How did quick rundown of how that matchup went?
Tyler played like shit, and that helped me. For playoffs, last year, 120. And that a lot of times in the playoffs. So I got lucky. Hopefully my team can get back to scoring the 150s, 160s like that before.
Yeah. It was like you put up a beatable performance.
By far.
But still, a beatable performance, still 125, but I think this week we're going to have the fireworks that we need. We need that 130, 140s matchup. Like, let's go out swinging, huh, boys?
Have to.
So getting into this, the projections, not that it ever matters, but they have gotten a lot better as far as like when you're watching the in game of what you're projected to get. And it's a good way of like keeping track of, do I still stand a shot? Like, and right now, Zach is projected 128 to Austin's 114. You've got a shot, dude.
I don't know.
But the last 2 weeks, I think your projections have been pretty bad too.
Yeah.
So it's just
I'm just playing the same card I've been doing the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
Don't change anything now.
You don't deserve to be here. I'm probably going to get my ass whooped.
Yeah.
We'll try our best. Yeah. Zach, I do give a little bit of a matchup grading for both of these. It was really fun to just dive into one matchup, honestly. Maybe because normally I'm just used to pencil whipping these things and trying to give a little something. But I think both matchups for each of your teams are pretty even as far as the level of difficulty. You do have CMC on a pretty cake matchup versus Washington. Like that's beautiful.
Is that bad?
Yeah. See, sometimes that shit can work against you.
How though? Explain.
Well, because Washington is so fucking bad that if the Niners get up 25-0 early, then they sit on it the rest of the day, and you just got to hope that McCaffrey has got the points early, which he's done all year. So there's no reason why he just wouldn't now.
Yeah. But they've blown the fuck out of teams quite a bit.
Right.
And now CMC is kind of throwing his name into the MVP thing.
Yeah. So, and also it could be a get right game for the Niners. Get back to what we do well. We're going to run the football. We're going to 50-yard game.
Yeah.
Rushing touchdown, and all is good in the world.
Okay. So with that, we're going to talk about, we're going to stay on your three studs. Josh Allen, he lost to the Patriots last time. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I do.
He did still manage to score 24 points. The Patriots defense is pretty good. I think it's 11 versus the quarterback right now. And but Josh is kind of on a little bit of a run right now. Not fantasy, not scoring a fuck ton of points, but he still scored 24 last week. How do you think the Josh Allen's going to do this week versus the Pats?
I think it's a good thing that Bailey Zappi is actually helping the Patriots get in the fucking end zone. Anytime you have a quarterback, you just hope for some sort of shootout. And when you have a quarterback that also runs like Josh Allen, that's when you get to huge games. I need the Patriots to put up points. Josh is going to do what he does as long as he has enough possessions. He'll turn it over, but who cares?
And then lastly, of the three studs, you've got Hill coming off a game. He had 14 targets. Pretty modest day fantasy-wise. He didn't score, I don't believe. He had 18 points total. That team is going for the 1 seed. It's a tough matchup versus the Ravens, but you got to think that Tyreek Hill is going to eat. Correct?
Yeah, he got 13 targets in the second half, and that's right after Jalen Waddle went out. I'm hoping that means if Jalen Waddle doesn't play the whole game, it's like 330 targets.
Okay.
Simple math. Right?
Is Waddle's not going to play this game?
He had a high ankle sprain. I don't know.
Oh, fuck. News to me. Right on. Do you think that guys care about fantasy? I mean, they all say that they don't, but it's been known for several seasons now that week 16 is fantasy football championships. Do you think the guys like these number one guys, you've got the number one at 3 positions, specifically those 3, do you think they give the fuck at all?
No, but I kind of have it. Now it's going to sound like I'm just talking up there going to stuck. But I have 3 dudes that still realistically win the MVP, and I think I care about more than fantasy football.
Yeah. I mean, they're all shooting for the stars right now. You're right. Like they all are really, really trying to put up numbers, and that's a good spot to be in.
Austin's got Lamar, so Lamar doing the same thing.
Yeah. So overall, I give your matchup grades a B-. I don't know how I came up with that. I just felt good. It felt good.
Did you see I saw a tweet today that said it's like the top 10 players with that are on championship teams. I think Zach has 4 of them.
Oh, wow. I should have added those up because I seen the same list. And I do mention earlier this episode that McCaffrey is 58.9%.
Yeah.
If you drafted him, you're in the fantasy championship.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they don't. You don't win your championship on draft day. If I win, I won my championship on draft day.
Same.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's a very good call because Tyreek was on that list for sure. Josh was on that list in the low 20%. And then Kyron was number 2 with like 40%.
Yeah.
And Kyron went undrafted. That's crazy.
Right.
Moving over to Austin, the best thing you got right now, obviously on your team, if you look at it, is the Derrick Henry Lamar stack. It's not a stack, but those 2 are on your team. His best games, Lamar Jackson, his best games are against the good teams.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at his entire singles tier, the few games that he had about 10 points, 12 points, the ones that are like, this isn't going to do me shit, they're against like average football teams and average AFC teams. So if you're looking at that, you've got to think Lamar is like, all right, I'm at the lead of this MVP race.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ball now.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, even last week, you didn't play great, but the Dolphins are a weaker defense, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Yeah, that is your ticket. You're in the fantasy championship with a pretty low team. So you're going to be reaching with every single guy, but you've done it so far. So you just got to continue to keep out kicking your coverage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Henry versus Houston. You got a division game there. Their defense has been playing good, but division game, you got to think you're going to get the best out of the Tennessee Titans, even though I think their season's done, right?
Yeah, he always historically plays great against the Texans.
Especially
like 200-yard games. But the last time he played, he was that 20 touches, 15 yards or whatever. So maybe they figured it out.
That was early in the season. It wasn't Tractor Cito season yet.
No, it was like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was I absolutely shotgunned that take. So I just let's be doing that from time to time.
Looking good. So
he threw a touchdown last week. Olave versus Tampa Bay, who's the 4th most they've given up the fourth most points to receivers. I'm looking at all the same stats you got, so I'm not throwing anything up different at you. Olave's been playing good. Derek Carr is supposedly back. Is that a good thing? Where are you at on Olave?
If they throw him the ball, I mean, I feel like every game this season besides last week, he doesn't get a target until the second half. And you waste out on a whole first half. But
last week was sweet, though, because they just went like to him 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards. And it was like 6 points on one drive. It was sweet.
Yeah, if they just keep doing that.
And from what I've read, Addison is day-to-day. You've got he's day-to-day with an ankle. KJ Osborne went the fuck off. You have what's your quarterback's name, Zach? Mullins. He threw the fuck out of the ball. Like he was really throwing the ball. JJ had a good game, but KJ Osborne balled, and that's only because Addison went out. So if he plays, are you going Addison? And then if not, what are you thinking? Is Dobbs on your bench? Is he going to get play?
It's a game time decision. I mean, if Addison's healthy, I guess you got to go with him. But especially with Hawkinson out, they need some more targets. But I don't know. Dobbs is the only reason he went off last week is because Watson, Reed.
Watson's not playing again, though.
Yeah, but then Reed. So we'll see what happens. I mean, JSN's still in the picture, too.
I seen that. I just seen that just now. So I was going to ask about JSN and Gibson. You were this close to starting fucking Gibson last week, dude. You were going to tinker right before the game and take Pickens out the fucking game.
I was that close.
And so do you still have an itch that needs to be scratched for Gibson, or playing versus the Niners? Or you're over that, right?
No, yeah, he's done. I mean, he's like
Are you sure that's been your guy for like 5 years?
I know. But even with Robinson out, he still only gets 10 points. So, yeah, he ain't it.
Okay, so looking at your team, Trey McBride actually had a down game. He is playing Philly this week, but that defense kind of stinks right now. Trey McBride has got to be your ticket in. Like that guy has to play better. The rest of your team has some decent matchups. My matchup grade is a B+. And I think you stand a shot, but the same thing plays as last two weeks is like, dude, you gotta fucking.
Yeah, I need something to happen like last week where I had 2 30-pointers and a little more help. But it's weird this week because the first playoff matchup, I could root against the Cowboys. The next week, I could root against the Lions. Now this week, I got to root against all kinds of teams.
Yeah. There's not one matchup you can point to and be like, all right, this is the one I got to really zone in on.
Yeah.
It's all the way around. One thing I did not look at is the game flow. So we have Zach has a Thursday guy, David Njoku, who's been balling for you, Zach. I mean, that's got to keep up.
He's been very good with Flacco.
Yep, very, very good for Flacco. And then Austin has one Saturday guy,
a big,
which is Gibbs versus Dallas in a tough game. And then it all comes down to Sunday. There's no Monday. Is there no Monday Night Football?
No, New Year's.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did it on Christmas, so you would never know. So Sunday night, do we have any Sunday night guys?
No Sunday night game.
Wow. So we are going to have – we talked about this already. I forgot the GM. We're going to have a fantasy championship declared by dinner time on Sunday.
And I think that's what Austin's Addison plays so hard is I think Addison plays Sunday night. So if it's like a game decision, it's the last. If he doesn't play, you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ooh,
I know.
You're gonna need to know. You're gonna need to know some info on
Yeah.
Saturday. You're gonna have to study on that. So speaking of start stits, we'll wrap this up in a minute. But Zach, right now you're currently still tinkering between Myers, Gabe Davis, who fucked you a little bit. If you would have had to send that guy some serious hate mail if you would have found a way to lose this week, right? Even though it's your fault that you sat him.
No, I would have took the blame on that one. And what's he had his big game. A goose egg is probably coming, or 30.
So now with him scoring 25, do you think that means it goes back to being a shit game?
I don't know, dude.
There's a third name to throw in the mix. Actually, a fourth name as well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire possibly getting the start. And
what a pickup. When did you pick him up?
12 hours ago.
Yeah, I was laying in bed at night and I went and picked him up.
Maybe it was 18 hours ago, whatever. And then you've got Tajay Spears. How electric would that be to run back what Austin went through last week when they had Gibbs versus Montgomery? Now you could run it back this week and go Derrick Henry versus Tajay Spears.
Yeah. Spears has been good. He's had over the last 4 weeks against.
So only thing I'll say though is you said the same thing about Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, and it burned me.
Yeah,
but trust the process, not the result.
Yeah, it's tough. You've only got one position. You guys both have one roster spot that you need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it could very well come down to who makes the right decision on this one start sit, because the rest of the guys are all going to ball. Who knows?
Oh, great. Thanks.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. I forgot about this.
Don't worry, man. We're going to be okay.
You definitely let me know who you like, and that will help me a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't want any of the blame, if it goes wrong. The blame is on you either way. So just so you know.
If whoever you tell me to play, I'll play somebody else.
Okay. So then play Jacoby Myers.
Oh, all right.
Good.
Mister,
now,
Mister, I'm sure you don't listen to this, but hit me on the side. Who do you think?
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll probably have to clip that and send it to him because he definitely ain't listening. He was asking me how the matchups were going. Is Austin winning? I said, dude. He's like, oh, I deleted the app. I was like, okay. All right. Well, good luck to you both. Incredible story out of Austin to even get here. Zach, I think we all kind of thought it could happen this way, especially when you got the 1 seed. Your team looked great going in, but you still took care of business to get here. So good job to both of you. Let's have a great matchup, please. Let's both of you guys. I want back and forth the whole time, please.
Yeah.
For the league.
And if you want to maybe get together on Sunday, we'll see if we can make it happen. We got shit. We'll figure it out.
Oh, that would be cool. You've got to. I mean, you've got to figure out a way to.
You got to figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Anything else you guys want to say?
Yeah, me and Austin have kind of been the two punching bags in the league as far as people ever won it. So it'll be that one of us now gets to make the jokes about the other one.
Dude, it's sweet on this side of things. As a guy who's won it before, when we were in high school.
It sucks because if I wasn't in the game, I'd be happy for Zach, but now it's like, fuck.
Yeah. Would you think, Austin, that now that you've had the performance that you've gotten to here, do you think it would hurt even more losing it all? Or would I don't know. You would obviously rather be in this game, but do you think this one is going to be possibly make you cry?
Probably. Yeah, probably. What is this, my third championship game? And I've been in every situation where I was the 1 seed that blew it. I was the 3 seed that blew it. And now I'm the 6 seed that could shock the world. So maybe this is what I need.
I love it. All right, guys. Good luck to you. And I'll have this on later tonight.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
See you guys.
See you, buddy.